we're going to be doing this interview in English, and we've invited you to come to the Worldstory Festival 2016 to do a work with Reclaim Your Inner Throne. And we're very excited to have this on our program. First time this is in Denmark. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is you're going to do?
Yeah, I would love to. First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to the festival. I don't know so much about it yet, and I'm excited to see what you guys are up to down there. And I know that you're creating some sort of mythological world, and it sounds pretty exciting to be part of it. And Reclaim Your Inner Throne is in many ways part of the same universe. I base my work on archetypal wisdom and mythological insights. You know, it's all come from my studies of popular culture, movies, and spirituality, world mythology. And so Reclaim Your Inner Throne is sort of a mix of all of these different strands of knowledge. But mainly it is a laboratory for working with 4 archetypes called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And the Inner Throne is a metaphor which I've come across in my own journey, and which I have sort of centered all of my work around. The idea is that we're all kings and queens. We're all, or at least that's our birthright, to be sovereign beings in our own kingdoms, in a sense. But due to the conditioning of childhood, peer pressure, the chaos of society, the often dishonest voices of the media, and consumerist pressure, all of these things, it becomes hard to be ourselves fully in the world. And
well, I mean, to become king in our own mind is also a metaphor that we use. We have the Merlin's Gate with the sword ceremony, where we draw the sword. And
yes.
So we're very aligned on that, and that's also why I invited you. And could you try to give us a glimpse of what will actually happen on your workshop? Because I know you talk to me about something, how the setup is, and there's an actually throne right there on the scene. And
if you have one, I'd be delighted to use it.
The participants are sort of invited to challenge their own shadow king, their inner shadow king,
or queen. Yeah.
Tell us about how does that work?
Yeah, so Reclaim Your Inner Throne is, I would say, in the same sort of lineage of work as family constellations and psychodrama and those methods, which are, you step into a field where the conditioning forces of childhood are present and that kind of thing. So most of the time when a person say that you were going to do this process, you would likely choose your father or your mother to sit on the throne.
So what you're saying is that the participant will be allowed to select somebody from the audience to represent a part of them, which is the Shadow King. Is that how it works?
Yeah, you could say that. A part of them, or a part of some sort of a psychic imprint that has sort of lodged itself into us and become the inner critic, or it's become some sort of inner saboteur of some sort. And so we try now to adapt our lives to sort of escape the harsh inner voices or the harsh inner demands on who to be in the world. And so we go up in a very very powerful way using these 4 archetypes. We go up against these forces, like accessing our grief and our smallness, our neediness, as well as our power and our anger, and doing all of that inside of like a magician ritual space, and all of these energies are sort of moving towards the throne in the center. And so the man or the woman gets to do some powerful work on reclaiming that. And there is also a royal court present, which is everyone in the group that are not representing the Shadow King or the Shadow Queen, or the actual person working. And so every once in a while, we will check in with the royal court. How much do you trust this person now to be your new king or your new queen? And so this can be challenging for people, because in a way, you know, whether I gain my inner throne back or not depends on these other people. But it plays out in the same field dynamics, where there are, like, the separation actually starts dissolving. And so when a person isn't trusting himself, then other people won't trust him either. But when a person really comes to that place of, fuck yeah, now this is me, I gotta have my throne back, you know, you need to lead now. And then so all of these people, they will, okay, I trust you. 5 out of 5, you get your throne back.
So essentially what happens is that sort of the inner archetypal world in each individual is mirrored out into the room, to the constellations created, and this allows people to get deeper into their own power, their own integrity. And is that essentially it?
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it, for sure.
So how would you put it? I'm just trying to get to create an image of what is actually, because or maybe you said it. You know, you said it. It's like a family constellation, except it is an archetypal constellation, right? So,
yeah, a lot of people who have done family constellations and who then witness Reclaim Your Inner Throne have told me this is family constellation on steroids. And there's an interesting feedback. I think part of the reason why people say that is that there is something at stake a little bit. It's slightly more yang in its approach than family constellations. So a person has a limited amount of time to get there, and they can only actually reclaim their inner throne if they have convinced the royal court that they won't be the new tyrant king or the new tyrant queen. And so when I speak to the royal court, I ask them, how much do you trust this man or this woman on the scale from 1 to 5? And they get the throne back when they have the full support of the royal court to become the new king.
And this sounds like an awesome tool, and I'm so excited to witness this and experience this for the first time. But I think we also maybe, I mean, who invented all this? Is this your creation, or where does it come from, this idea?
Yeah, so the sort of the lineage of the work is it starts out with these 4 archetypes that I just mentioned: King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, discovered by 2 neo-Jungians, American neo-Jungians. And I probably 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, me and my friend Paul Christian Bunds, is also a Norwegian guy, we decided that we were going to make a workshop based on this. And we had already been well trained in ritual process, in process work, constellation work, you know. So we went to his summer house and we sat down and like, okay, let's gather our tools and adapt them for our needs. So we found really good processes for the warrior, the magician, and the lover. And so we were fairly satisfied with those. Like, yeah, this will work. And then when we discovered that we hadn't really a single process in all our experience on being on this path that seemed to powerfully address the sovereign archetype, the king or the queen, we had a challenge. And it's the best kind of challenge that we could ever have received, because that's when we really started accessing our own unique genius, you know, and we started praying and meditating, and we fought each other, you know, because we didn't always agree. And, you know, we had to feel resonance deep in our tissue and in our soul that this is going to work, you know. And so in the end, we just sat there, and I was sitting on a chair and Paul was sitting in front of me. And all of a sudden there was this strange sort of liminal quality entering the room, and my friend started becoming really small, like a shadow of himself. And he was starting to beg for approval. And this whole setup, it turned out that I had actually, through the field dynamics that we were accessing, I had become his spiritual teacher. And not in a blessing way. his spiritual teacher in a "I'm going to cane your deluded ass" kind of way. And so we realized in that moment that we had started to access some new and unique sort of knowledge. And so we spent several hours really getting to grips with what the hell is going on here. And in the end, when it all came together, is when the person, or Paul in this case, it took his throne back from his spiritual teacher. And as the new king of the kingdom, he blessed his spiritual teacher for holding the parts of him that he had not yet been willing to hold. And then when that happened, we both started shivering and crying, and we realized that the circle had sort of completed, and that workshop turned out to be good, and that process turned out to be groundbreaking. You know, it was incredible, and wherever I've been doing it since, people have been saying something like, "This is the most powerful process work I've ever done," and things like that. So I feel very blessed that we got to receive this information.
Fantastic. And maybe this is a good place to round off this interview, and just to tell the viewers that you'll be coming to Denmark, giving the workshop at the Worldstory Festival, which is from the 1st to the 6th of July. And people can see the program and the details at worldstoryfestival.com. And we are very much looking forward to receiving you here in about a week's time.
Great.
Hope to get this out very quickly so that people can see what an amazing opportunity this is.
Yeah, I'll do my best to spread it to my people, and depending on who shows up, I'd be happy to do it in both Norwegian or English, you know, depending on.
Yeah, and maybe just finally, du er jo norsk, og
jeg er norsk.
som er bange for, at det her kun er på engelsk, skal være at formentlig selve workshoppen på norsk-dansk, men hvis der kommer en masse internationale gæster, så kommer vi nok til at gøre det på engelsk, så vi tager det lidt, som det kommer.
Ja.
Så, men tusind tak, fordi du ville være med i dag, Eivind, og så ses vi om en uges tid.
Pleasure.
Ja.
Ses næste uge. Bye.
Bye.